Hey, I'm Sean,
Hi, and I'm Shannon.
and we're the host of Wifey and Baby Mama. We want to thank you all for joining us again this week as we fly solo. I want to start tonight's episode by saying Shannon and I hope we've laid a good enough outline, the best we could,
Mm,
anyways, to set a foundation on healthy blended families and what they should look like. And we will have future episodes dedicated specifically to that. So we will continue with that rhythm. However, on last week and the few upcoming weeks, we want to just pivot a little and take a look at and focus on healthy people and relationships, taking care of
mhm,
us as a whole. Even if children and partners are not involved in the picture, we want to focus on how we can be our best for ourselves and our future families. So, with
mhm.
that, we'll get into tonight's topic titled When Good Enough Isn't Good Enough. Now, I know a few
Okay.
women that fit this topic, but I know them well enough to ask them to come on and elaborate. I didn't want any smoke, so we just gonna run this by ourselves, after we talked about it.
Yeah.
And
Mhm.
honestly, a few of them probably wouldn't mind um discussing it because they have no problem saying like this is what I am, this is what I
That's
do.
true. Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Oh,
But
yeah.
I'm not, for that. So I know they're not shy about it, but I'm also not sure if they want to come on and blow up their spot. So we're gonna leave well enough alone, Shannon. We just decided
Right.
we run it. We'll do our thing.
We can do it.
So we can
Yeah.
do it. So
Uh-huh.
tonight we will be discussing men and women, but mostly from a woman's point of view because we're
Mhm.
not men who pass up good guys because they don't fit their illusion of a man. I think in doing this, we make dating harder for ourselves in some case. We're probably missing out on the one that was meant just for us. Don't get me wrong. I'm sure you can like create a good life with your handpicked partner, but will you be fulfilled? That's the
Mhm.
question you have to ask on this subject.
Yeah.
And that's where I think a lot of misery comes from in certain relationships.
Mhm.
We have the
Yeah.
money, the so-called status, we're looking for to fit in with the Joneses. But what about your health, happiness, and your peace?
Mhm.
I can
Yeah.
imagine, and I mean only imagine what kind of daily work and misery it is, Shannon, to keep up with that kind of relationship.
Oh,
Because you're
right. Yeah.
constantly pressured, and stressed to see what this couple is doing and make sure you have
Mhm.
this dress or that name
Mhm.
brand bag because such and such, in your social
Mhm.
circle, they just got it. That exhausting is the only word that comes to my mind when I was pondering this content. Did
Yeah,
you feel
yeah.
the same way, Shannon?
Oh yeah, yeah, it is. And I know people right now today that it sounds crazy, but as soon as one of their friends buys a nicer house than theirs, oh, within 2 years, they've got something bigger and better. But neither one of them are happy with each other, but they keep buying all these bigger and better things.
See what I'm saying? I
Uh-huh.
don't. I refer to you guys. I'll make a few movie references because, like I said, we know people personally, but you
Mhm.
may not know who I know. You may not know who
Yeah,
Shannon know.
yeah,
So
yeah.
when you said the bigger and better houses, Shannon, it brings me to the movie. I just lost my train. I just had it just now. Bigger ain't always better. I don't know. It's an older movie,
Bigger ain't
Funny
always better.
Valentine. Yeah, bigger. It was in Funny
Ah,
Valentine. So you remember what Loretta Devine and Afro Woodard? Those were the stars of it,
okay.
and they were
Yes.
cousins. And at the end, they found out they were
Mhm.
sisters. Remember?
Mhm.
And
Yep, yep.
the Alfred Woodard went off to live a good life. She had this husband. Oh my God, he was handsome, out of his mind handsome. He had, he made six figures, and she lived really
Mm.
well in uptown New York. Her cousin
Mhm.
stayed in the country, Loretta Devine. She was a little mentally challenged, I would guess to our standards these days. But she
Yeah,
had
yeah.
just the basics, just her and her mom in the basics. She made her own food, and she was as happy. She exuded happiness, right?
Ah,
Alfre Woodard got tired of the life. She didn't, I don't know, it doesn't show if she chose that husband, but she did change her mind about that life. So she
mm,
went in and she bought the cousin, new things for her house, a couch and a food processor. And she said, you know what? I thought this would make you happy. And she said,
mm.
bigger and newer ain't always better. She said, you have new
Yeah.
things aplenty and you're not very happy. And to
Mm.
me, that movie just kept coming back to my head when it came to that because that is so true.
That
It
is so
seemed
true.
on the surface, right? She had everything any girl would want, nice husband, good looking, nice job. But he treated her poorly. But I was
Mhm.
happy to see that she made a choice and said, you know what, I need a break from this. I got to go find me
Mhm.
again. So That's what we need to, focus on. It will be the day, Shannon, before I live that kind of life. Now, I
Yeah.
will say when I was younger, I did have a type, right? I like them tall, light, bright, and almost white. Ain't that how the saying go? The lighter the better, baby. I ain't want nothing black but a Cadillac back when I was young. But I quickly discovered, they were headaches. So that
Uh-huh.
theory was put in the wind, girl. And as I
Yep.
matured,
Yep.
my type changed to employed. No baby mama
Mhm.
drama, no arrogance, straight teeth, nice smile, manners,
Right, right,
that type
right.
of thing. It
Yep,
quickly
yep,
changed. So my
yep.
standards evolved with my age.
Oh yeah, and I was the same way, growing up in the 80s, everyone wanted an El DeBarge on their arm. So that's who you all went for. That's who everybody
I
went
like,
for.
yeah, I ain't like the good hair though. I ain't like the curly hair.
Oh, you didn't
For
Oh,
some
you
reason,
like the curly hair?
I
What?
was not into the curly hair. For some reason, even to this day, I want a low cut bun. I want no braids. I
Oh.
want no box. I only really do
Okay,
bald heads. I
okay,
like the low cut fade. I
okay,
mean, if nature do his thing
okay.
and my husband got to go bald, then
Yeah,
that's what we're gonna do. But I'll be
yeah,
too old to care
yeah.
by then. But
Okay,
but
right.
right now, I like a low cut fade. That's just clean cut. I've never liked
Okay.
the cut, but I did like the
Okay.
eyes and the light skin. I liked it all
Skin.
that, honey. I was with it.
But
You know what?
yeah,
Al
but
B. Shore now. Al B. Shore could have got up his
oh
curls.
yes, I
Oh,
was
baby,
with
now,
I'll
now,
be sure
now.
all day. Yes,
I think he was the
yes.
only one, and I think it's because he had a natural curl, a natural curl.
Oh
I liked it, his hair,
yeah, yeah.
but
Christopher
I didn't like
Williams.
him.
Wait a minute.
Yep. Oh my God. And it's a guy that I referred to in my book as Ant.
Uh-huh.
Seriously, seriously, in college was a Christopher Williams. Seriously, like no lie.
Wow.
That's the kind of hair, and I just love to rub it and play with it. But
Yeah,
again,
yeah, yeah.
headache.
Yeah,
So
headache. Yep.
headache,
And
baby. So
it's so
everybody
interesting
else wanted to
too.
play with his hair too.
I know, I'm
And he
sure
let him.
everybody.
And he let him.
Exactly. Exactly. And what's interesting, I talk to my son all the time because he's like a version of me where he's very shallow. Shallow.
Hmm. Hmm.
So I'm waiting for him to grow out of it. He's taking a lot longer than I did, of course.
Right.
To grow out of that. And I tell him, I say, you will be so much happier if you find the person that has the substance that you're looking for versus that outer
That's
shell
right.
that
Hmm.
never works for you. I
That's a
said,
fact.
show me where you've been successful with this this method.
That's it.
And
That's right.
it doesn't work. So
Well, like you said, though, sometimes it take people a little longer. But as
yeah,
we get
yeah.
older, we get wiser. Hopefully he's walking into that. But I know, as for me, I got older and wiser, and
Me
then you
too.
realize everything isn't going to be as you wish. And
Mm-hmm.
looks are not the most important thing to be
Mm-hmm.
concerned with.
That's
Now
right.
I know that people will look at you and I, Shannon, and be like, "Girl, please, y'all can't talk about no looks, and both of y'all husbands fine." Well, that's just the way it worked out. We got lucky. It wasn't like
Yeah.
I said, if a guy wasn't good looking, I'm not interested.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
mean, I
But
don't want nobody that's gonna scare me when I roll over at night either.
oh,
No.
right, right, right,
But
right. And beauty's in the eye of the beholder. Now, you beauty's in the eye of the beholder.
absolutely.
Yeah. So what might
Absolutely.
be attractive to one person could be atrocious to
That's
the
a fact.
next.
But
You
but
just
that
never
isn't
know.
gonna be my end all, or should I say, wasn't
Right,
my only
right.
means to finding my partner. It just worked out like
Mm-hmm.
that.
Yeah, yeah. And
And
then what about the women that just are so picky? And we both have friends like that. I
yes,
could call some
absolutely.
names, but I don't want to
Right.
lose their
Don't
friendships.
know. We're not gonna
But
do that. Or because to each his
that
own, right?
yeah, yeah, yeah. But they're so picky that they won't even date unless this man has checked, 100 boxes before the first date or before, of establishing a friendship. And I said to one of my girlfriends when she was complaining or saying something about the guy, and no, I don't want to go out with him because of XYZ, ABC. And I said, you have no male friends. I said, that's scary. I
Right.
said, in my mind, every female should have one, two,
Male
three, four,
friends.
some male friends to give you that insight, that perspective to help you on your
I have
journey.
several. My
Mm-hmm.
brother, you're gonna
Yeah.
probably kill me. My brother in love, Woody. He's my best friend, one of my best friends, Sam's husband. And then I have my
Mm-hmm.
god brother James down south.
Mm-hmm.
Those are the
Mm-hmm.
very two people that I can say, look, I
Mm-hmm.
got this situation, and bro, what's happening?
Yeah.
And they're gonna give it to me straight because
Exactly.
no sexual involvement ever, no
Right.
sexual interest ever. They're just giving me male opinion. And even though I said they're like
Mhm.
my brothers, they're not my blood. So when I'm
Right.
wrong, they can tell me I'm wrong. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
And
Yep.
sometimes I don't go to my blood brothers because I don't care how wrong I am. They're gonna be like, that's my sister. They're gonna always take my side.
My brother
So
does
I
the
try to,
same thing.
yeah. So I try to be unbiased by not calling them on serious, and
Yeah,
that's when I
yeah.
need a serious opinion because I don't want them to tell me I'm right. Some things I really want to resolve
Right.
in my
Yeah.
relationship or otherwise, you know what I'm saying? And I need an honest
Mhm.
opinion. And I know my brothers, they just gon' they sisters are never wrong, okay? So
Right.
especially with a man in a relationship. So what you just said about the boxes, what was the movie, Shannon, with Whoopi Goldberg, my girl, the dark skinned girl, and the real funny one. She was the sister. They were sisters, and
Real
Whoopi
funny
Goldberg was
one.
the mom. And the good looking guy played the love interest. He owned a coffee shop. It's oh god, y'all. Well, listeners, y'all probably know
Oh,
the movie. I
yeah,
can't.
I don't
I,
know.
I'm having a day, guys. But anyways, she was this corporate. Tiffany Haddish was the sister. I can't get the other girl. I got her face, real pretty
Oh,
girl. You know what I'm
yes,
talking about?
yes, I know
So
what you're talking about. Mhm.
yeah, so Tiffany Haddish was like the sister that was off track. That was track. I'm
Yep.
sorry, guys. That was trying to
Mhm.
get her life together, and the other girl was she was the bougie one, and she had the
Yes.
upscale six-figure job, and she was beautiful,
Uh-huh.
and she had a checklist that her mom had given her. So the list wasn't even real, right? So she met the guy in the coffee shop, and he was Frank. The guy's name was Frank, and
Okay.
that was his. He's Ghost. What is his real name? Amari Hardwick.
Oh, yeah,
I'm
yeah,
getting it
yeah,
together,
yeah.
y'all.
Okay.
It's coming to me. But he was, the love interest. He was good
Mhm.
looking. He owned his own
Mhm.
business. He was a ex user. He ran a substance abuse. He got his life together. He found his place in the world, and he really was in love with her. But she was like,
Mhm.
oh no, he didn't make enough
Mhm.
money. He's not told till the catfish guy she was dating kind of bombed on her, and then
See?
they did their thing, and she was like, no, you're not, you're not my type. You're not my type, and she hurt his feelings so bad. And so the
Mhm.
catfish guy shows up. She kicks him to the curb, does him all kind of wrong, breaks his heart. And in the end, the
Wow.
mother tells her that list didn't exist. You're not going to have everything on that list. Like I
Nope.
made it up to have an appearance with you guys, and that's why we got to be honest with our children. I
Mhm.
am so honest with my kids. Sometimes they're like, "Mom, okay," like, "Oh, mom, TMI." But if I don't tell
Mhm.
you guys, who are going to tell you? You know. So
Right.
you got to have that relationship. But yeah, she ended up being with him, and it was like a good, happy ending. But yeah, she had the
Mhm.
checklist. And we can't live off of a
Yeah.
list. That's not realistic,
Right.
you know.
Right. Yeah. So many people have lost valuable partnerships because of that.
Their standards.
Because of their standards, or one box wasn't checked. I'm like, but every other box is checked. They're like, yeah, but that one, whatever that
And
one
most of
is. Yeah.
the time, I'm sorry, excuse me. That
Uh,
has to do with how they portray themselves. They're missing something. They're lacking. So they're trying to
yeah.
make up for that and all those other people.
Mhm. Mhm. Yeah. They are.
And
Yeah.
at some point, it must get tiresome trying to live a certain life. Point, with women and standards going from man to man, it must get tiresome,
Mhm.
because that man can offer you this, like the next one can't offer you that,
Right.
and then
Right.
you get one that kind of checks all of your boxes. Okay, he'll do. Then the next one comes along and he drives a more expensive car. I mean,
Mhm.
how do you keep up with
Yeah.
your health?
Right.
You even run the
Right.
risk of disease and so many other things.
Yeah. Yeah.
And
Or
not to
even
mention,
those that
Shannon, go ahead.
yeah, no, I'm sorry. I was going to say, and even those that aren't, having physical relations with people,
Right.
they're still, harming themselves just by, not allowing themselves to really form a connection. Because if when I look at one of my girlfriends in particular, is every, I don't know, 6 to 8 months, I don't know, 6 to 9 months, it's a new guy because after that short period, she's given up because there's one box or two box, or she thought they checked it and they didn't check it, or or whatever. They have specifics. For example, I have one girlfriend that says the man must make more than she does.
Wow.
There's no way around that, and she makes a hefty amount of money, but she refused to date anyone that makes less than she does. And I know there are
Well,
probably women that are listening to this and say, "You got that right," or screaming, "Now I'm supposed to be taken care of. God said He's the provider." Blah blah blah. Whatever. To each their own. All I'm saying is, she's still single.
hello, and not to mention, I was about to say that, and not to mention, not even so much. Shannon's still single. Then wouldn't a little help be better than none if that you're doing everything? You know what I mean? And I'm not
Yeah.
saying
Yeah.
you should settle and pay
Right. Right.
90% of
Right.
the bill and he just pays the
Mhm.
freaking the garage door opener bill or
Mhm.
the alarm system bill. That's not what I'm saying. What
Mhm.
I'm saying is if you meet in a healthy whole relationship, the rest will come. And what I was
Right.
gonna say, Shannon, before you got to that point was when we said not even if it's physical, if they're not even having sex. Well, what about the soul ties?
Mhm.
Because
That's
even
right.
emotionally, even if you're not
Mhm.
having sex, you can emotionally attach to
Mhm.
all these people. Then you're
You got
emotionally
that.
attached and or worse, sexually attaching to all the people they're sleeping with. And you're carrying all this emotional baggage because you've taken on all these people. So even if you're
Mhm.
not sexual with them, like you said, Shannon, you still have those
Mhm.
emotional headaches
Yep.
and ties to deal with.
Yep.
I once heard TD Jake say, at some point, you must get tired of being handled. And I
Mm.
thought that was so deep. And I quote, that
Ooh,
was his
that
exact quote.
is.
At some point, you must get tired of being handled. And that doesn't have to
Yeah.
be sexual. As I went over
Right.
this topic in my head, I realized that is so true. We're delicate as women. And the
Mhm.
world beats us down enough, right? Even in corporate America,
Right.
we got to fight twice as hard as the male.
Yep.
Even with our children, I have to tell my son something 5 times versus my husband saying one time,
Mhm.
son, stop.
Mhm.
You
Mhm.
know, as women, we're a little more pressed over. So why
Y
do it to ourselves? You know what I'm
Right.
saying?
Right. Yes. Like we mentioned last week about you're the prize, we're the prize, know your value. Women, we will
That's it.
continue to hammer that message in
Absolutely.
with no shame.
And
So,
like you said, men too. We have men
yeah.
that do that. They only want a woman,
Mhm.
which we'll get to. That'll be another episode, but I'll just touch on it
Oh,
really
yeah.
quick. You have men who just want a certain body type or this kind of
Oh,
breast, and
yeah. Oh,
that'll be on
yeah.
our show. I think it's coming up in a few episodes, so I won't elaborate. But
Mhm.
I don't women to think we're getting picked on. Just know that the men got theirs coming too. But today we're just dealing with us as women and how we need to
Right.
value ourselves. It's enough of putting each other down and or putting ourselves down or lifting our standards too high.
Mhm.
Why
Mhm.
put ourselves through all of this, passing up a good man and settling down and letting good enough be good enough? God will bring the rest. That's just the way I feel about this topic.
Yes. I agree. Totally
And,
agree.
and yeah, and I just want to wrap it up with I, as a woman, have been there, done that. We're not beating anyone down here. Trust me, we're not. We're
Mhm.
not doing that. I'm trying to save people from some of the things we went through and the things we watch other people go through. And I can honestly say, and I'm thankful and not bragging or bodacious about the fact that I've never allowed that to determine who I was. I've never let a
Mhm.
man's standard or what his pockets were say, well, this is who I'm going to be
Mhm.
with. I
Right.
search my soul, and I advise you guys to search your soul. What does this person bring to my life? When I'm with this person, do I feel a peace? Are they trying their best to make ends meet? You know what I'm saying?
Mhm.
Don't let it be about money and material. We can lose ourselves
Yeah.
chasing things. So that's what I'm going to wrap up that title with
Mhm.
before I move into my red line.
All right. Thank you, Sean, for the wrap up. On to the red line.
On to the red line. All right. This week's red line is titled, Thanks for the Ring, but I Wanted 5 carats. Ladies, we have to break the mentality of materialism. I know we all want the best in life. I mean, I certainly do. But at what cost? Don't pass up a man that can provide and nurture your spirit just because he can't offer you the finer things in life the day you meet him. Most importantly, don't lose yourself or self respect in search of things. If a man is good for your soul, the rest will follow. And sometimes we may have to wait for a while for Mr. Right. But
Mhm.
don't miss him fooling around with Mr. Wrong too long. And remember,
Mhm.
karma has all of our address. So if you're out here running through men and breaking hearts to get what you want, you best to believe you'll see that again. So be mindful of your behavior and put the good back into relationships. A broken
Mhm.
heart isn't the worst thing you can get out here playing with people's emotions. Some men are unstable. And if you're out here spending all these men's money and just taking up their time and one day decide, I'm done, you could very well
Mhm.
be done for real. So many
Mhm.
women are losing their lives for less than that. So please don't
Right.
put yourself in danger playing with someone's emotions.
Mhm. Love that. And I
And
like what you said, Sean, when you said he may not have everything
right
you
now,
think he should have right now. Right. Right.
that's
And
right.
that's when you build. When you're with a good partner, you build. Every year you will see an increase. You will see a goal met as long as you're working together in partnership. Some
And
women don't
Shannon,
want that. Some women want
they
to just be taken care of. They're like, "Why
want
I gotta
to they
work?"
want yeah, they want instant gratification, or like you said, they want to
Mhm.
be up with this friend's house. I can't marry this guy because I can't get a house as big as my friend's house if I married this guy.
Uh-huh. Yeah.
Let me tell you, the only reason Shannon and I decided to do this podcast, the only reason we come up with the topics that we do is because we've been through it. We have
Yes.
some kind of life experience,
Yes.
or we know someone that has. But on this
That's
point,
right.
I don't think my husband would mind
Mhm.
saying, for years, I made more money than he did. That's just
Mhm.
how it rocks,
Mhm.
right?
Mhm.
COVID came. I was put out of a job. We had a new baby. I had no job. He
Mhm.
carried that. He God put him in a position with two jobs. Neither one of them were lost, and he took care of
Mhm.
the family the entire time. Just like that,
Right.
the tables were turned. You
Yeah.
understand what I'm saying?
Yep.
But
Yep.
had I passed him up saying, "Well, I'm not gonna marry him again because he ain't making as much money as I am
Mhm.
right now," and let me
Mhm.
tell y'all right now that he's smoking me, okay, in the
Right.
money
Right.
department,
Right. Right. Yeah.
because
And
that's
the,
just the way it worked out.
yeah, it's how it works out. And the same in my situation. My husband is a commercial driver. So when he's long
Hmm.
distance, of course, that's great. He can make, well over six figures, deep into
Right,
the, whatever.
right, right.
I don't want to see him once a week.
That's a
So
fact.
I'm
You know what I'm
like,
saying?
find something where you can be at home every night. So of course that's gonna put me way above him salary wise, but we
It gives
want
you
to
more
be
time
together.
intimately. What good
Yes,
does that money do for your marriage if you're not away?
exactly.
Things happen. Women
Mm-hmm.
find out, men find out you're alone for so long.
Right,
You don't put your,
right.
I implore
Mm-hmm.
people to never let
Mm-hmm.
money be the most important
Nope,
part of your relationship.
never.
That never. Because I'm gonna tell you,
Mm-mm.
everybody that I know that it is miserable. And that's a
Mm-hmm.
God-given fact. And I'm not even kidding. Everyone that I know that money is more important than their marriage or their relationship are either miserable or single. And that's
Mm-hmm.
just a fact.
Yep, that is just a fact. Awesome, red line.
Thank you, darling.
Okay, now we're on to the final segment of the night, and it's a segment we call The Fictional Family I'm Feeling. All right, the fictional family I'm feeling this week is the McGuires from Jerry Maguire. I'm sure you all knew that movie was coming around at some point.
Right.
Um, it's everyone's favorite, everyone's favorite. Well,
Everyone's favorite.
but the final scene, of course, is what I'm going to talk about because that is, the most iconic scene of the movie. So,
And it
as you
relates to
know,
this topic.
and it relates exactly. So, Jerry Maguire um, was trying to sign, this agent, and he was so focused on signing this agent that he took focus off of his wife, who was already in a fragile state as, she was a single mother when he met. And I'm sorry, when he married her, she worked with him or they worked together. But, so she had a few insecurities about, am I good enough? And then when it looked like he was pulling away, of course, that impacted her. So she left him, and at first, he kept on, with his life. Of course, he's a little bum, but he's more so focused on getting this contract signed for his client that, that was the focus. But once all of that happened, and he realized something was missing, he got the money that he wanted. Of course, got the great deal, the contract. But where was his partner? His the love of his life wasn't there. So in that final scene, you see he goes back to get his wife. He goes back to the house and she's there with a group of friends. Um, nice little audience for him to spill his love for her out. And he says to her, how much she completes him. And then, of course, she turns around and says the famous line after he says this whole speech. She says, "You had me at hello." But the most beautiful thing about it is he saw that no matter how much he had, and he had a lot, that wasn't enough to make up for not having his wife with him.
Hmm.
And how many people can say that? I know people who say right now, if I win the lottery, I'm leaving my husband or I'm leaving my wife if I win, you know? So how many people can say no matter what, I don't care if we're in a box under the bridge or if we're in a mansion in Malibu, we're together.
That is so hilarious. That's a great, what you said, Box. I'm so sorry. I told Jimmy when we got back together this second time, I said, listen, he goes, you sure you want, I was living in Alabama. He said, you sure you want to give up this nice house? I had a huge house. God, it was so beautiful. And he said, you sure you want to give up this house? You sure? You sure? I said, listen, I would live in a
Mm,
box under the bridge, baby, as long
mm,
as you're going to
ah,
treat me right and you're going to do me right. And that's why it just made me laugh. And he said, okay, let's go. So we packed up and we
oh
lived in
wow,
hotels for months.
wow.
And finally, I found a house and it fell through with the house. After 2 years. It was beautiful home. It fell through and we were just out. And finally, his sister
Mhm.
had an apartment and we moved into this apartment. And after the kids were asleep and I was done, Shannon, I had so much stuff. Imagine coming from 5 bedrooms to 4 bedrooms to now a 3 bedroom, 1 bathroom apartment. I had
Wow.
stuff everywhere. And I said, I
Mhm.
just sat in the middle of the floor and I cried and I said, so I can't believe I'm living like this. I left my house. And he looked at me, he said, he sat down on the floor at me. He said, baby,
Oh Lord.
you remember you said you live in a box with me, baby. We it's better than a box. And I laughed until my tears oh my God, I laughed until he laughed until he was
Oh
crying.
my God. Oh my
And for
God.
5 years we stayed in that apartment and it didn't feel like an apartment because he
Wow.
was with me.
Yeah,
Until
that's
we got some
right.
crazy neighbors and then it was
That's
time to
right.
get the heck on. But the
Yeah.
space itself, every night I went
Mhm.
home, I said, "Thank you, Lord,"
Mhm.
as if I was in my
That's right.
five-bedroom because I
That's
had
right.
good, healthy children and I had a
Mhm.
husband that loved me and that rode it out with me.
Mhm. That's right. And that's why I say too, Will and I say box under the bridge too. So that's funny that we all four of us say the same thing. It's like no matter
We've been
what,
no
let's
matter
ride or
what, we're
die.
together. Let's
That's
go.
right.
This is what we're doing. And that's what makes a marriage, not the figures, not the
Uh-huh.
money.
Yeah.
You know,
Yeah.
that's what makes a marriage and a relationship work. So, great fictional
Mhm.
family girlfriend. I love it.
Uh-huh. All right. That is the fictional family that I'm feeling. And before we wrap up for the evening, I have to remind everyone to submit their red line submissions. I forgot that after our red lines, but never too late. We're still
Never
on.
too late to give away the money.
Yes. Who wants $100 gift card? If you want $100 gift card, please submit your red line submissions to wifey and baby mama at gmail.com. And the third Thursday of each month, we will choose from those submissions a winner, and we will read that submission on the air. And I want to emphasize we. I had a couple of questions this past week asking were they going to come on and actually read their own red line. At this point, no.
Not yet.
Maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
but, but for now, we will read them. So please submit them. We love reading them. That is wifey and baby mama at gmail.com. All right. So we are done for tonight, and we will look forward to seeing and I'm sorry, talking to you next week, 7:30. Um, to all of our subscribers around the world in our
Thank
seven
you.
countries.
7 countries, yes.
Yes. So we are happy to have everyone on board and listening to Wifey and Baby Mama.
We appreciate
So,
each and every one of you.
yes, we do. All right. So until next week,
We love you
love you
all.
all.
Bye.